Imagine for a moment your body's incredible capacity to heal a broken bone. It's really quite something, isn't it?
It truly is one of nature's marvels.
But what if that natural process, which can be, pretty slow sometimes, could get a high-tech boost? What if we could actually stimulate the healing, make it faster, maybe stronger?
Mm.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. The fascinating world of bone growth stimulators.
It is fascinating. And it's not just about sort of mending things faster. It's about actively enhancing the body's own repair systems. It's really changing how we approach orthopedic treatment.
Yeah.
Our sources today, especially a recent market analysis from Cognitive Market Research, give us a really clear view. This sector isn't just growing, it's genuinely transforming recovery.
Right. So our mission today is to give you a clear, sort of comprehensive understanding of this area. We want to unpack what these devices actually are, why they're becoming so important, the big trends shaping their future.
And the challenges too, of course.
Exactly, and the challenges. And this isn't some tiny niche market. We're talking serious numbers. The estimate for 2024 was around, what, USD 2.3 billion?
That's right, about 314.5 million.
And it's projected to climb to over $3.5 billion by 2032.
USD 300 and 552.0 million. Yeah.
That's a compound annual growth rate of 5.50%. That's pretty substantial.
It really is. And that growth, it suggests more than just, steady progress. It points to a fundamental shift in how we think about recovery.
Yeah.
Moving beyond just fixing.
Affecting.
Exactly. Enhancing the body's natural power.
Yeah,
It shows the real impact these devices are starting to have.
absolutely. So let's start with the basics then. For anyone maybe not familiar, what are bone growth stimulators?
Good place to start.
Essentially, they're a really key development in orthopedics. They offer non-invasive or sometimes minimally invasive ways to kickstart and enhance bone regeneration, bone healing.
Right. Using different kinds of energy.
Yeah, they use different methods like electrical pulses or ultrasonic waves, even carefully calibrated magnetic fields.
So practically speaking, where do you see these being used most effectively? It's not just for a straightforward fracture, is it?
No, not usually.
They're becoming really critical, especially for those tougher cases where natural healing is just, well, struggling.
Like what specifically?
Think about patients with delayed bone fractures, where the bone just isn't knitting back together properly, or people undergoing complex spinal fusions. Getting solid bone growth there is absolutely vital for long-term stability.
Makes sense.
And they're also proving really valuable for patients with osteoporosis, helping to sort of strengthen that fragile bone. It's a much more targeted, proactive approach than just waiting and seeing.
Okay, that really clarifies their role. Now, looking at the market itself, it's interesting how different types are performing. The research suggests external bone growth stimulators are kind of the dominant type.
They are, yeah.
And you can see why, right? They're non-invasive, generally easier for patients to use.
Less hassle.
But the implantable devices, they're gaining ground too. More for specific, complex situations, maybe.
Exactly. Like those tricky spinal fusions we just talked about.
Oh.
Or non-union fractures where the bone just flat out refuses to heal on its own.
Right.
That's where an implantable might be the better option.
Gotcha. And there's a third type mentioned too, ultrasound.
Yes, ultrasound bone growth stimulators. They offer another pathway, using sound waves to stimulate the healing process. Different mechanism, same goal.
Okay. So with all this tech, why the big surge now? What's driving this growth?
Well, a huge factor, maybe unsurprisingly, is our aging global population.
Well, more people living longer.
Means more age-related orthopedic conditions. Osteoporosis, arthritis, more fractures generally.
Yeah.
The International Osteoporosis Foundation estimates, over 200 million people worldwide have osteoporosis.
Wow. That's a huge number.
And it's only going up. But beyond demographics, there's also this really strong preference now for non-invasive treatments.
Yeah, that makes sense. Patients want less surgery.
And doctors too. Everyone wants to minimize risks, shorten hospital stays, speed up recovery. If there's a less disruptive option that works, people will naturally gravitate towards it.
And technology itself is playing a massive role in that shift, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about the stimulation tech itself, it's how it connects everyone. We're seeing this big integration of digital health technologies.
Like apps and things.
Exactly. Modern stimulators now often have Bluetooth. They connect to mobile apps. Patients and doctors can remotely monitor how the treatment's progressing.
That's brilliant. So you can track your own healing.
Pretty much. Which really helps with patient compliance and, keeping people engaged in their own recovery. This ties into the broader shift towards home-based care as well. Devices are getting more compact, more user-friendly.
So patients can manage them at home easily.
Right. Imagine checking your bone healing on your phone. That's a real game changer for patient involvement.
Huge step for independence. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The global picture. Are there big differences region by region?
Yes, definitely. North America is the clear leader right now.
Okay.
Accounts for about 40% of the global market share in 2024.
Why so dominant?
Well, they have advanced healthcare infrastructure, a high prevalence of bone disorders, unfortunately, and a real focus on technological innovation, especially in the U.S.
Right. And Europe.
Europe falls with around 30% market share. They also benefit from well-established healthcare systems and generally rising awareness of these treatments.
But where's the fastest growth expected?
That's where it gets interesting. While North America and Europe lead now, the real engine for future growth looks like the Asia-Pacific region.
Really?
Yeah, the projections show a CGR of over 7% there between 2024 and 2030.
Wow, that's significantly higher. What's driving that?
Several things. Rapid urbanization, big increases in healthcare spending, but also, unfortunately, a rising number of road accidents and sports injuries.
Yeah, okay. Creating demand.
Exactly. Huge demand and opportunity in places like China, India, Japan. It shows a real global shift is underway.
So, looking at the companies involved, who are the main players in this space? Is it fragmented or dominated by a few?
It seems to be somewhat concentrated. Our sources highlight a few key players holding significant shares. Orthofix Medical Inc. is a big one, around 17% share in 2024.
Okay.
Medtronic Pilec is right behind them, about 14%, and Bioventus LLC has around 10%.
So those three have a pretty solid chunk of the market.
They do. It suggests a mature market in some ways, maybe high barriers to entry,
Mm-hmm.
but also means innovations from these major players can really shake things up quickly. It's definitely a high-stakes game for them.
And I assume they're investing heavily to stay ahead.
Oh, for sure. Lots of investment in R&D, constantly trying to improve their devices. Plus, you see a lot of strategic moves, mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, all aimed at expanding their reach and staying competitive.
It all sounds incredibly positive, the tech, the growth, the potential benefits, but is there a catch? Any major roadblocks the research points to?
There is one really significant challenge that keeps coming up,
Okay.
and that's the cost, the price tag.
These advanced devices aren't cheap, I imagine.
Not at all. You've got advanced technology, high-quality materials, pretty sophisticated engineering involved.
Yeah.
All that adds up to substantial manufacturing costs.
Which get passed on naturally.
Which get passed on to the healthcare system or the patient.
So what does that mean in practice? Does it limit who can actually get these treatments?
It certainly can, yeah. It definitely limits widespread adoption, particularly in regions that are more price-sensitive or emerging markets where healthcare budgets might be tighter. And even in wealthier countries, it can make healthcare facilities hesitate because of the initial investment required.
Even if they might save money in the long run.
Exactly. That's the irony. These devices could potentially reduce overall costs by speeding up recovery, preventing complications, maybe avoiding further surgeries. But that high upfront cost is a real hurdle.
It's that classic short-term cost versus long-term value problem, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
How do you balance pushing the boundaries of innovation with making sure these important treatments are actually accessible to the people who need them most? That's a tough question.
A very important one. Okay, so despite that cost challenge, what's next? What does the future look like? What developments should we be watching?
The future looks incredibly dynamic. We're seeing continuous innovation, like XTIM Inc. just got FDA approval for its spine fusion stimulator back in April 2024. That shows there's ongoing demand for even better solutions.
Okay, so new products keep coming.
Definitely. And there's a big push towards making devices more efficient, more customized. Think advancements in wearable, portable stimulators that are just easier to live with day to day.
More convenient.
Much more convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And the smart technology aspect is becoming standard integrating digital monitoring, those mobile apps we talked about for real-time tracking. That really boosts compliance and ultimately how effective the treatment is.
Right. Better data, better outcomes.
Hopefully. And all this ties into meeting that growing demand for more personalized bone healing approaches, especially with the aging population and rising orthopedic issues.
So it sounds like companies really need to embrace these tech trends, personalization, wearables, data integration to succeed.
Absolutely. The market's future is going to be shaped by integrating even more cutting-edge stuff. We're talking potentially AI-driven therapies that tailor treatment based on your specific healing profile.
Oh.
Or even more precise non-invasive ultrasound stimulation, Regenerative medicine is also part of the mix, creating a more holistic view.
So it's not just the stimulators themselves.
No, it's the whole ecosystem. Companies adapting to things like advanced wearable diagnostics, maybe even using 3D printing for custom-fit devices. Those are the ones likely to lead the way.
Right.
It's moving towards a whole new paradigm of personalized, tech-driven healthcare.
It's really quite a picture. So just to wrap up, we've really unpacked how these bone growth stimulators aren't just, a cool medical gadget. They're part of a really dynamic market driven by huge factors like the aging population, but also by these incredible leaps in technology.
Yeah, and stepping back, the overall outlook is really optimistic. The future seems pointed towards treatments that are more effective, hopefully more accessible over time, and definitely more personalized. It's fundamentally changing how we approach bone healing and recovery.
Okay, so here's something for you, our listeners, to think about as we close out. As these incredibly advanced, personalized healing technologies, the kind we've been talking about, become more common, maybe even moving right into our homes, how might that change our whole idea of recovery, of resilience, maybe even change our relationship with managing our own health day to day?